That was. I swear I could do that better, but that's the one we'll keep.
I love that. We don't need David anymore.
I think that's like you going through hitting puberty in the middle of that song is what we just experienced.
The crescendo.
Yeah, well, then it's on brand, isn't it? Welcome to season 2 of Podcrushed. I think what I'm going to do is I'll be quiet for the next 30 minutes because there's not possibly another piece of content that you want to see my stupid face or hear my stupid voice in. I feel like for the last 7 weeks, my face and voice has just been used up. It's been used up.
Wrung dry.
I saw there was somebody tweeted at me like a few weeks ago, can this douche please shut up? And I was just like, I really understand you. I hear you. I agree mostly.
This resonates for me.
Yeah, this really this hits different. This tweet hits different.
Oh, yeah. Man. Yeah.
Well, not everyone feels that way. I actually want to lend a little momentum to this little indie movement that's burgeoning. There's a listener of the show, I'm not going to say her name, but not a fan of me and Sophie. And she has a little hashtag going, #needs-new-hosts. And I want to help her out because I think a better hashtag would be #PennNeeds-new hosts.
Yeah, because
so if you want to support that movement.
The way the hashtag is, it could be any of us.
Exactly.
The whole show needs new hosts?
No, she means you need new hosts.
Okay,
You're doing great. Sophie and I are really bringing down.
I did ask her kind of in a tongue-in-cheek way. I said, "Are you gunning for the position?" I responded to her, and she said, "Yes, I would be a great host." I said, "Oh, all right."
We should have her on.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we do have a new format this season. So, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, so this season is a little bit different. We will not have stories at the end of the episode, but don't worry because we know you love those stories, and we actually have decided to give those stories more airtime, and we are having special extra episodes that are centered entirely on stories, and we'll be talking to guests, we'll be talking to experts and pod crushers and lots of different people. It's going to be good fun.
And as always, we'll be posting highlights and behind-the-scene clips from our conversations on our socials. Follow us at Podcrushed on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We also have a YouTube channel, so check us out there.
Okay, I could do this all day because I love bantering with you. But I think we probably need, for the sake of our guests, our listening guests. We want to get to our interview guest. We have Jharrel Jerome. He is an actor, a rapper. You could call him a multidisciplinary artist, a Renaissance man from New York City, born and raised, which is a lovely thing. We talk about that a bit. He blew me away. He blew everybody away. He got an Emmy for it with his iconic performance as one of the exonerated 5, Corey Wise, in Ava DuVernay's When They See Us on Netflix. He got his start with another iconic and memorable role as Kevin in the Oscar-winning feature film Moonlight. He's got a burgeoning career as a rapper and a few other really exciting projects coming out this year. I'm a Virgo, which is a Boots Riley project, and Steven Soderbergh's Full Circle. So, Jharrel's about to be real hot, I think, again, for the second or third time. This was a very thoughtful and very deep conversation. Usually we like to keep it on the surface, but he just had to go there. He knew what the show was about, and he wanted to go there right from the jump. So we're going to dig into it right after the break. Welcome to Podcrushed. We're your hosts. I'm Penn.
I'm Nava.
And I'm Sophie. And I think we would have been your middle school besties.
Which means we can't wait to steal your boyfriend. Bye.
That's good.
You were the and this is like not any shade to our other guests at all, like at all. You were the first one where when Nava told me, I was like, yes. Are you kidding? Yes.
Yeah, he's not like that.
No, it's usually like, let me think about it, or no.
I'm very honored to be here. Like I told you outside when we just met, I'm a huge fan of you, and I don't just say that like lightly. I watched you late, so I saw it when 3 seasons had already been out. So I got to binge watch the first 3 seasons all at once.
Oh, that's cool.
And that
so
was
you
really cool
got
for me.
You actually really got the vision in
the
a way,
whole world.
Because there is a vision in it, which you maybe can't appreciate when you're first seeing.
Yeah, and you're waiting around for what's next and stuff like that. So I got to kind of see it all in one and probably over a weekend. And there aren't many TV shows that I love for some reason, and I think the main reason is because if the main actor, the main character doesn't draw throughout the entire season, there's just a point where I'm kind of like, all right,
it's hard.
cool, it's cool, it's cool. But you were able to carry that show on your back the entire way, and there's just something special with the nuances in your face, man, and the way you emote such simple feelings and simple thoughts. On top of your narration, no better narration. Your voice is great, man.
Thank you,
and
man.
it's authentic.
Honestly,
so I just
thank you
say
so
that now.
much.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
that
man.
really means a lot. It really means a lot.
Of course.
You started to make waves and have these incredible opportunities quite young. I mean, from what I understand, I mean, you know, Moonlight you were 16. Is that right?
18.
18. Okay, well,
yeah.
Wikipedia could do us some more favors.
Probably.
All right.
Felt 16 though.
Yeah, well, you were
Yeah.
playing young, as
right.
we all do.
I
when
was
we're-
16 in the film, but I was 18
yes.
shooting it.
Okay.
Kind of
Right.
had to be the whole legal stuff.
Of course, no, I get that
yeah.
actually, because I was working when I was 12, and I get all that.
Yeah.
But so you went to LaGuardia,
Yes. sir.
right? So I'm tracking back. So Moonlight is like you get out of LaGuardia and you're
Fresh
doing,
out of LaGuardia.
and
Wow.
so you're just like already
I'm in college now, but just the start of it, freshman year. So I went to Ithaca, upstate New York.
Okay.
So I wanted to stay in New York, but I wanted to get away from the city. So I was 5 hours away doing acting BFA. And I got Moonlight in October of my freshman year. So just a month after I had started college. So my manager, who I'm still with to this day, she saw me on stage in high school when I was a senior in a play. So by the time I had graduated, we were in conversation about me just going off to school, and she'll send me self-tapes. So it wasn't this serious, like sign this contract, you're gonna work with me, don't go to school. It was have fun, go to school, study, and I'm just gonna toss you auditions, and if you wanna put yourself on tape, send it back. And so I did maybe 10 solid
10.
auditions.
Wow.
Like 10 tapes where...
Which for people listening, that's not a lot.
Not a lot
That's
of
not
tapes,
a lot
not
to
a
be
lot of
landing.
tapes.
in
Mind you, I
like
did do a
Moonlight.
ton after.
Sure.
Right.
No, I'm not saying you haven't paid your
Right.
dues. I'm just saying, you know, you
At the
came
time,
out
though,
of-
yes, absolutely.
Yes.
It was too quick. It felt too quick almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had auditioned for Moonlight on the day of my 18th birthday.
Wow, man.
October 9.
Happy birthday.
auspicious.
Man, October 9, and it was a Friday in college.
Wow.
My first Friday in college for my
So that
birthday.
was,
Wow.
that was a
So,
good weekend, we'll say.
It was a great weekend, but that's all to say the audition, I almost didn't do it. Because I woke up, I had class at first, and it's my birthday. I was feeling all these things, like excitement for the night and
Totally.
stuff,
Yeah, no,
and
actually,
just a little distracted. And it was around 3 p.m. when I remembered the audition.
Oh, man.
And it was, and
This is a crazy story.
it was insane.
Yeah.
And so I remembered that I had to do the audition, and I didn't want to get any audition and not send it back, especially because my manager, Perry Kipperman, shout out, she believed in me so much, and she was just sending me these projects like, no, do it. I think you can get into these. So I didn't want to get one and be like, sorry, I didn't make the time to
That's
do
an
that.
incredible ethic, dude.
Regardless. So I did the tape in my dorm room with my friend. I just asked him after class to come, and we shot the tape for Moonlight in my dorm room. I sat on the floor. I remember I had stuff everywhere. And I remember I'm not going to get this because I'm just in this room. But I did it, and I think what it was that I don't know if I'm letting out tricks and secrets, but I did a whole pantomiming thing, which I remember learning not to do in auditions. Don't overdo the whole like mime stuff. But I did the scene where I was smoking on the beach. So I pretended like I was rolling a joint the whole scene. And I remember Barry Jenkins telling me later, like, that was tight, that you just sat there on the dorm room and was it just felt human. It felt real, and that's what he was looking for. So I got so lucky. The week after the 9th, the week after my birthday, I got a call from Perry, and she was like, yeah, you got it. And I remember thinking, which one? Because I had done 10.
10, yeah.
So I remember thinking, well, which one? And she was like, Moonlight, you're going to Miami in 3 days, and you're going to shoot for 11 days, and then you're just going to go back to school.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so when I shot it, I didn't know it'd be what it, ended up being.
Yeah. Wow.
So let's freeze there and back up too, because so you had I dream about and it's a fantasy, by the way. I know it's not real, but I dream about having these sort of formative experiences that you and other people going to LaGuardia have. By the way, my wife went to LaGuardia. I do know people who've gone to LaGuardia.
Really?
Shout
Yeah.
out.
Wow.
Yeah. We talked about it in our interview with her.
I know. I was like, oh, Sophie, not paying attention to any of the shows that Penn is a part of.
I famously just lose
It's all good.
little
No, it's fine.
facts.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm not offended. She's
You're
not
from New
offended.
York too, though, right?
Huh?
You're from New York, right?
Not from. I've lived there for 16 years. I was
Okay.
born in the East Coast and lived in the East Coast and then also West. So I've moved around so much.
Okay, got
New
it,
York
got
is
it.
definitely home.
Yes.
My stepson was born there. He's 14 now.
Okay.
So my family is New York.
New
My
York.
my son, my 2.5-year-old, he's born and raised in New York. So
Wow,
so
cool,
so it's
cool.
our family, but it's I don't feel like I can say New York the way that I think you can.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's just back up a little bit.
Mhm.
You in 8th grade, from what I understand, is when you were in your first play.
Yeah.
So that's if you feel comfortable, like I'm interested in what got you into that at that age, because that is what we're talking about. And
Mhm.
I also know what it's like to really start to more seriously pursue your art at that age. So like just paint a little bit of a picture for us. That's what we always like to have guests do, like just a little bit of a picture of who you were, how you saw the world, what you felt like you wanted to become, and then what happened when you started acting.
So I had no idea about acting or the film world at all growing up because no one in my family came from that. So I'm from the Bronx. I grew up in a household of 10. So I grew up with my mom, my dad, my sister, my cousins, my aunt, my uncle, and my grandparents.
Wow.
All in one house. So how I grew up was very, very family oriented. I had a very strict upbringing. Dominican, my father's Haitian. So I grew up, with Caribbean style
Yeah.
upbringing, as well as they were young when they had me, very young. So it was just this tight-knit. I mean, when I was born, my grandfather was maybe 44.
Wow, that's kind of amazing.
So that he was the oldest in the house, and you had babies running around. So it was a
Yeah.
young group of people in a house just trying to work and make money and get up out of there. And so that's how I grew up until by the time I was 8, my family started to disperse. My mom started getting older, and, my mom and dad were like, we got to get out of here. And so we moved to another part of the Bronx. My cousins moved down to Florida. My grandparents stayed in the home, and things like that. So we started to break apart. And by the time I was in 8th grade, I was just living with my mom, my dad, and my sister. And I wanted to be a lawyer or a doctor. That's it. That was the only two options for me.
And was that like long standing? Was that impressed on you in childhood?
Yeah, that
too?
was
Okay.
just, if you're going to do something,
Do that.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what else? I mean, it wasn't sports for me. I wasn't athletic. I was athletic. I played baseball and basketball, but I'm 5'8", so that stopped at some point. By the time I was 15, I was like, and so 8th grade, I also went to a Catholic school, so I grew up Catholic. And I grew up with a lot of, I was very good in school. I was a very good kid. As opposed to, some of the friends that I hung around with and the people around me who just, they didn't have their father or they didn't have, I was raised by, quote unquote, my stepdad. But he raised me since I was 2. So that's that's my father, you know?
Yeah.
And so I got to have that kind of well-rounded come home to my sister and my mom and dad, to the cooking, to them being like, how's school? Are you doing good? Because if you're not, whoop that ass type stuff, And so I'm always appreciative of that. Long story short, when I was in the 8th grade and deciding on where to go to high school, I didn't want to go to my zone school. I didn't want to stay in my area with the kids that were kind of running around doing all these, I heard about fights and I heard about jumpings and all these just random violence that would happen when I'm in the 8th grade about the high schools that I was scouting. And I just remember thinking, I probably got in 2 fights in my life at the time. And I would hate to be that one really scrawny kid at these really tough high schools. And I think I don't remember how the conversation went, but I went to my mom and I told her this. And I just was vulnerable with her. And I was like, I'm scared to go to high school around here. And she was like, well, you should audition for performing arts schools throughout the city. Because you can go to school in the city and it would be free. Because the problem with going to school outside my zone was that we'd have to pay something.
Yeah,
and
right.
so the performing arts school is my mom's clever way of saying you can go out of the Bronx and don't have to pay for anything.
So, but it wasn't.
It
Was
wasn't.
it otherwise on her radar even? So maybe it wasn't on yours, but even she didn't think he's maybe got the spirit of a performer.
No,
Wow.
she thought that I had a spirit.
Okay, and
She
that's
thought
actually,
that
you know
I-
what?
yes.
That's what a
Yeah.
performer
Yes,
is. So-
exactly.
Yeah.
She thought
Yeah.
that I was a clown, a class clown.
Okay.
And I was. I was the performer at the family events. I was the one making up a dance. I was the one who was like, look, I got this rap for you. Because I was rapping my whole life, too. Since I was like 9, I was trying to rhyme something with something. So by the time I was 12, 13, my mom is like, well, you have this, like you said, she didn't necessarily say you're going to be an actor.
Yeah.
But she was like, I think if you go and try to audition for these schools, you can do something. Even if it wasn't acting, go dance. Go try to dance. Go try to sing. I don't even sing. But she was like, go try to get into those schools.
So what was that audition like?
Insane. So we go on the computer and we Google performing arts schools in the city. LaGuardia pops up, PPAS, Talent Unlimited, and Frank Sinatra. Those are the names of 4 prominent performing arts schools. So then we go into the website and we see that you have to do 2 monologues. I didn't even know what a monologue was. I thought that was like a disease or something. This is like monologue, and then we Google monologue. You're performing by yourself. You just got to do this. Read lines by yourself. You have to do opposing ones, dramatic and comedic. That was the point. And so me and my mom went to the Lincoln Center Library. And just like a day after school for me and a day after work for her. And we went into the city, which was big for me at the time. Like, just getting on the train and going into the city was cool, because that was luxury.
Yeah, and
That
that's
was-
like the cultural center right there. You're
Yeah,
going to Lincoln
exactly,
Center. I mean,
exactly.
I went there the other night for a show with my wife, and I felt the same way then. I'm like, this
Yeah.
city is still so amazing.
It's beautiful.
It's so
beautiful. And that specific area, too.
Yeah,
Lincoln
it's-
Center,
it's-
Juilliard.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
really
it's
nice.
very
That-
inspiring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fordham, that whole area
Yeah.
is super. Everything is architecturally beautiful, and the lights are like this,
Mm-hmm.
like glow all the time. So I remember when I got there, everything was like larger than life, and I'm just in this library looking for monologues with my mom, and we didn't know what we were doing, but we were just kind of flipping through, and I got it wrong because I was supposed to do monologues from an actual play, but we found a book that said teenage monologue for boys,
All right.
for young
Wow.
boys. So it
Very
wasn't.
specific.
It's very specific, and it was a set of monologues that were just written from, like, they weren't from any
They were-
plays.
okay.
They were just a set of monologues for young boys.
Like
Okay.
based on theme, I guess.
Based on
right?
theme.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is the dramatic section. Here's some dramatic monologues. And honestly, that's a cool book, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, really
cool.
cool
Was
book.
it good? It was like well enough written. You took stuff from that.
Yeah, I picked my 2 monologues came from that book.
Okay.
Wow. You have to write the foreword to that, and they should
Yeah.
republish
I
it.
know.
Yeah.
I remember it was a green book. I wish I gotta find the book
I
again.
hooked
But
that up for you.
I opened the first page, and the first monologue I loved, which was probably dumb, but I loved it, and was like, I'm gonna do this one. It was a comedic one. And the comedic one was me going up to a bully in school and telling him, I'm not afraid of you. I'll beat you up. I'll fight you right now. But at the end, he's just like shaking.
Yeah.
And he's like, and if my mother did not need me for dinner right now, it'd go down, and he runs off at the end. And so I remember picking that one, and then the dramatic one was approaching my best friend's mother at my best friend's funeral. And I remember thinking, well, that's so sad. I didn't know, like, it just felt sad. So I went and I practiced it by myself, just for hours, weeks, ready for the audition, because it was they did. Each different school had an audition on different days, and the auditions were insane. I show up, and there's probably 7,000, 8,000 kids just from the whole city.
And at this point, as you're practicing these monologues in your room by yourself, are you still thinking like, I'm doing this so that I can go to school outside of the Bronx and get a different experience?
No.
Or are you thinking now like, actually, kind of like this?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. I started just falling in love with
Yeah.
it immediately. And just when I learned the lines and I was in the mirror trying it, and I did it for my mom and my dad, and they were like laughing. I'm like, that's funny. That's funny. That's
Yeah.
good. And I just remember thinking, well, this is fun. And ultimately, I would have gone to a school by me if I had to. Like, it wasn't such a deep, deep fear where I'm like, you gotta
Sure,
get
but
me out
you
of
know,
here.
but it was, you're right,
But
right.
it was
like, hey, if we can avoid
if we can
this,
avoid
like-
it, it'd be great. You know. So
Well, it sounds like this was your calling. Like maybe your spirit knew. You know.
so
Yeah.
my mom, before the audition, she booked one acting class for me because they were like $150 in the city or something like that. So she booked one acting class where I did one-on-one with the coach. I'll never forget her. Her name is Mimi. She's somewhere out there. I've never seen her since. But Mimi's the first person, right? I sat down and she did this exercise where she was like, show me your angry face. I just show her my angry face. Show me your happy face. Show her my happy face. Show me your excited face. These things, right? And then she gave me this set of lines, and she was like, read this like this. Okay, now read it as if you were in a breakup. Okay, now read it as if you were cold outside. And read it as if you got a paper cut. Like random things. And I did that for an hour with her. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was just doing what she was saying. And that was my first time being directed ever. And I was just going. When I left the class, she pulled my mom to the side and she told my mom something. And I wish I knew it word for word. My mom probably knows it. But my mom started to get emotional. And she came up to me and she was like, she's very proud of you. And she was like, you're good. And we just got on the train, went home.
Wow.
And then I auditioned for the schools, and I got into all 4 of them.
It's amazing, Jharrel.
It was nuts.
Oh my God.
I'm crying.
I got into all 4 of them, and they were brutal. Like the LaGuardia audition was the first. I had 3 of them. The first one was 9 hours long.
Wow.
And there was 8,000 kids, and we were like grouped in our boroughs. So I was with the Bronx kids, and there's like 500 of us, and I sat there on this chair in their hallways, waiting, sliding down. So
And your heart's probably like,
what? I didn't even know the feeling. I didn't know, and I was hilarious. I was in this khakis and these boat shoes and this like corduroy sweater that my mom got me from Cookies.
Right.
You guys ever heard of Cookies? It's a department store. New Yorkers will know Cookies. We went to Cookies and we bought this whole get up and this whole thing. And I remember sitting just in that chair, and honestly, I felt good. I felt like this is cool. Like what else could I be doing right now in this moment besides sitting on this chair waiting to audition for this? And so, I auditioned for it. They gave me like a callback, then another callback, which is crazy for a high school if you think about it.
It is actually.
This
It's
is
intimidating.
This is what the industry
Very
feels like
intense.
already.
Yeah.
So it's they gave me a callback, then another callback, and then I had an interview with the head of the department.
Wow.
And is that typical?
So I found out when I got into the school, if they really want you, they bring you all the way to that. I don't know about the interview thing, though. I don't know how that worked. It's a whole, I don't know. There's
It's
some things.
just a pretty. It
It's
sounds
intense.
rigorous.
It's very rigorous.
Yeah.
They emulate the Juilliard curriculum, and they try to make you feel that from the moment you walk into that building. Like,
Right.
if you want this, you got to work for this. And it stayed that way the whole 4 years I was there.
wow.
And you're 14 at this point.
No, I was young. I was 12. I turned 13 freshman year of high school. I have a late birthday.
Wow.
So I was 12
that's
years
a
old
lot
this
to be
whole
going
time.
through at 12.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
very intimidating.
Little me going to high school at 13.
You're 13,
I was
yeah.
13.
You
I
Oh,
was
well, now it's a different
14.
story.
Yeah,
that-
now we
it's
don't
like-
have any sympathy
Well,
at all.
I was a
you know,
teenager.
you deserved
Yeah,
it.
it's whatever. Imagine. No, but I was 13 throughout all of this. And then same thing, I auditioned for PPAS, Frank Sinatra, and Talent Unlimited, and I got into all 4. Yeah, we got just like this envelope day after day.
Wow.
What made you
It's
pick LaGuardia?
The name.
Yeah, it's a good name.
Honestly,
like-
I was like, LaGuardia sounds like the best
It's
one.
the best
out of all-
one.
Did you know anything about the history at that point?
Did you know Fame was about?
Yeah, and I guess that's what I mean by the name as well.
Yeah.
Like the name of it, the alumni list.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
put it all up in your face.
They did, right.
Deservingly. It's like this
Yeah.
is what Robert De Niro, Al Pacino,
Yeah.
Nicki Minaj. This is just
Jharrel Jerome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Timothy
I
Chalamet. There's a great list of actors and performers from all scopes that come out of that school. And I remember that was so appealing for me for not knowing anything about the craft. I just know if they can get those people to do it,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
maybe they can get me to do it.
So at this point, are you really thinking like, it's been a short period of time. Are you thinking, I'm gonna make movies?
At that time,
Yeah.
no. I was thinking theater.
Ah, okay.
Because that's what I really fell in love with first, was theater, because that's what I got thrown into with the
Yeah.
school, with LaGuardia. It's a theater program. So they'll have a film class when you're a junior, but it's about Shakespeare and plays and musicals and being able to perform in front of a large audience. Because
Yeah.
they're trying to get you to Juilliard, which will get you to Broadway. As opposed to out here, you go somewhere that'll get you to a film school, that'll get you to Hollywood. I don't know how it works, but
It is,
Something
it
like
doesn't
that.
quite work the same way out here. I
out
feel
here,
like.
right,
Film-
right.
Yeah, it's
So New
not-
York, those performing arts schools, they're not trying to get you into Hollywood as much as they're trying to
That's
get you
true,
onto
yeah.
Broadway. And then if you choose the Hollywood path, you're kind of on your own.
That's interesting because I do okay that
You
that
know?
makes sense because it is so theater oriented. All the types of performance are so live, and they kind of depend on that. And there's something that
Exactly.
was very esteemed about that, which I get. But then you do have like some of their most touted names are like serious film actors.
Yeah,
so-
because if you can study theater to its core and learn that, it'll translate well in film. I don't think vice versa. I don't think you can just be born into film and be this film actor for years and then try to go to stage
Right.
and give off that same. There's something about being able to start
it's true.
big and go small, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's what theater was for me, was learning all the little intricacies of big. And then by the time film set happened, like being on a film set, it ended up being a lot easier to just kind of go smaller.
Yeah.
Because I learned projection, I learned being loud, I learned ignore the audience, which is also ignore the camera, you know? And there's so many things that ended up going hand in hand. What was really cool about LaGuardia is that when you're a senior, they do a senior showcase. So out of the 100 kids in the drama department, they make you audition, which is crazy because you're auditioning again while you're in the school. And they pick 12 people to show, to do a showcase. And in the showcase, they invite agents and managers throughout New York. And these agents and managers come looking for the next 17-year-old who's really good. That was the pressure of that showcase. And I remember they talk about showcase all the way from freshman year.
Wow.
You're a freshman thinking about, I
intense
need to get into
environment.
show. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
You're a freshman thinking about, I need to get into showcase when I'm a senior. So the environment is so intense that by the end of the whole process of the 4 years, most of your friends don't want to act anymore.
Yeah.
That's the thing, because you're choosing at 13. Like, I
Just
want
kind
to.
of like rings you out.
Yeah, you're 13, you're young. I'm curious. I want to act. Oh, I got in. Fun. I'm doing it. But then you realize the intense amount of work that goes along with it. Because mind you, yeah, LaGuardia is tough on these kids, but I think necessarily because the industry is brutal, and so
So they're trying to emulate.
they're
that,
trying
that's
to
all.
emulate it in a way. You know, it's tough, but it works, I think, if you care about it enough. Because they're trying to find out who's really passionate about it. Because that's the thing about me. I never gave up on it. I wanted Showcase so bad. I wanted to be in the musicals. I wanted to do it. I wanted to be there every single day. As opposed to maybe like my friend next to me who was like, man, whatever. I'm done with it.
You know, one thing we're interested in this show is like the formative experiences that are heartbreak, and anxiety. That really does shape so much of how you see the world, these first loves, or even if they're small and fleeting and kind of stupid in recollection, like, they actually are a big thing when they're happening. In that environment, it sounds to me like there's already a lot of anxiety. There's already a lot of pressure.
Oh my God.
Is there, high school and middle school are these like grounds for kids kind of like with all their hormones and pheromones and all the other moans. They're just like,
All the moans.
That's clever.
You know what I mean? They're just like, that's cranked up. So how is that expressing itself? Maybe around you or for you? Because you were also a bit younger, which by the way, when background on me, anybody who listens knows, I didn't even complete middle school because I moved to LA and I started working in television and film. So I didn't even really go to high school, but I had a little snippet of it. And so I was younger. So I was younger. I was about 13 for like 4 weeks in high school. And the prospect of all these kids were like learning to drive, and they were asking each other out to, I guess, prom or homecoming. Maybe homecoming, because prom is for older kids, right?
The Sadie Hop, is that what that?
Homecoming, probably.
Sadie
No,
Hawkins.
this wasn't 1940. It was actually it was 2003, Nava. or 2002, 2001.
That's funny.
So tell us a little bit about, like, if you feel comfortable sharing your first heartbreak, or one of those kind of formative, like,
Yeah, first love, first
know,
heartbreak.
Oh, man. Yeah, I will.
you don't have to name names.
No, I definitely won't do that. It's funny because I'm a lover. Like, I'm a romantic at its best and worst. I think I am hopeful as much as I'm hopeless at it, and it's funny for you to ask me that, because after, like, just my journey of love and my different relationships that I've been a part of, I haven't really thought about the first time in a long time. And so my first heartbreak was because I broke her heart.
Mm.
That was my first time where I felt incredibly sad in love. And it came from my 15-year-old mistake. You know, and so I was in my, I guess, my first serious relationship, and we were together for most of my sophomore year, and I cheated, and I got with another girl from another like department, dance major, and I guess experiencing this whole, because that's always been my problem, is that I am just like every other guy, where I have these feelings and these hormones, and I want to chase them, but I am a lover, and I like relationships, and so I'm a lot better, by the way, these days. Okay, this
We all change,
this
no
isn't still
umbrella
going on.
involved.
This isn't. Let me look at the camera. This isn't still going on, and so. And so, yeah, I think just going through, that's always been my downfall. Is that I don't think I've ever been ready for any relationship I've gone into, but I've dove into them. And the first time I did it was in high school. Was when I was 15, and yeah.
Did that stay with you? Like, after you broke her heart, what was the ripple after that?
Yeah, it stayed with me. I mean, it's just this, I've realized that I'm not this, like, I can't just make a mistake and be like, oh, what, made a mistake, moving on. Like, I make a mistake and it kills me. And it, like, eats me up so much. And so I told her that I did it. Like, I went up to her in tears. Like, I did this. And, yeah, it's just causing my own trauma is exhausting. And it's kind of what I'm doing. It's creating my own mess and creating my own sense of trauma. Because now, to me, that's a traumatic experience. Is having to have dealt with hurting somebody deeply and trying to make amends, or just putting it in a box and being like, damn, I messed that up, moving on. It's a sense of trauma for me, as opposed to the opposite, where maybe there's a girl who went up to me, cheated on me, or a girl who was like treating me badly. I've never experienced that. I've experienced a lot of love, and I've experienced a lot of honest, genuine love, and I have messed it up. I've messed it up multiple times, and so I'm at a point in my life currently where I'm trying to really not end up in that position anymore, and that is spending serious time to myself.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what do you think the steps to that are?
It starts with that.
Right.
It starts with finding peace being alone, because the lover in me, I'm a Libra, okay? I'm a Libra. I'm Dominican, all right? You know how many problems I'm mentioning right now? And these are issues. These are serious issues. And so I have to be aware. One thing I've learned in the past year of being just kind of to myself is I yearn for validation. Like, I'm just looking for that. And it's not from my Instagram or from comments or from strangers in the street. It's from a woman. It's from one woman. It's easier for me to go through my days being validated and being told that I'm just that guy by this one person. I realized that that's cool, but it's my most toxic trait. It's my biggest problem, because it's what's led me into quickly getting into relationships, staying in a relationship for the sake of safety, and then still having the other half of me that wasn't ready, so he's panicking.
And he wants
and
to go,
he wants to figure out. It's not even that he wants to go off and do
Sure,
things,
yeah.
you know?
Sorry for that. No.
You
I know
already
what you're saying.
looked into the camera.
I guess
Come on, it's not that
trying to
either.
He's not that guy anymore.
Oh yeah,
Come on.
he has changed. He
No,
has changed. That's right.
it's not even this. Yeah, it's not even the idea of just trying to get with other people. It's me panicking and just thinking about the future, and thinking about, whoa, like I don't even know what tomorrow looks like for me.
Well, if I can, I guess what I was trying to say is, like, I think even the most spiritual impulse for people who are cheating is that's, it's not I want to be with somebody else. I think it's like it's a response in all these other ways. It's like it's the emotions you just described.
Yeah.
You know, and so then the way that it manifests is like, well, this is maybe like a quick fix. You know, I mean, that's one theory.
I
That's a
think that's
theory.
valid. I think that's valid. I think just regardless of what it is, though,
Yeah,
the other
yeah.
person's always gonna lose,
Right.
and it's never gonna. And you're always gonna deal with that. And if you're cool with dealing with it, that's you. Like if you're cool with just doing it and being like, wow, she's pissed, but I can't, and it kills me. And the people who I, you know, the experiences I've had, if the person was right here right now, they can at least say, yeah, like it definitely hurt you too. And it wasn't like you spent the time ignoring me. Like I've always spent the time trying to right my wrongs. And it comes from me wanting to, but it's just all so exhausting.
Yeah.
It's so exhausting.
It's wonderful though that you recognize that, sort of that you have that like awareness and you have an awareness of like what you're striving towards in love. That's all you can do, Jharrel.
It's
You
new.
gotta strive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
it's-
anytime one person hurts another, it hurts them too,
Yeah,
whether
definitely.
they admit it or not. And I think admitting it and dealing with how it has hurt you too and how it's affecting you is that first step.
Yeah, absolutely.
You talked a little bit about religion. You said that you grew up Catholic.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about the role that religion and spirituality played in your life growing up. And then also, what are your views now? How do you feel towards spirituality and religion?
So I grew up Catholic, and I grew up believing in God. I still fully as well. I believe in God. I believe that there is something beyond. I don't know, you know, and I don't kind of kill my brain trying to figure it out often. But I lost my grandfather when I was 17. I lost my grandfather 2 months before I got the Moonlight role. Exactly 2 months
Wow.
before. The same grandfather who I grew up in the house with my
Yeah.
whole life. I lost him to cancer. He was only 65. So it was unexpected. It was scary. But the second he went up, I started always calling it up. And I started remembering the values I learned as a child. I've dissected myself from Roman Catholicism. I believe in a lot of things, but I don't even know much about it, to be honest. I went to Catholic school, but I don't know much about the politics of religion. And so when it comes to the politics of religion, I'm out of the question. But when it comes to personally believing that my grandfather is puppeteering me right now and helping me through my career, yes. There's no way he went up and 2 months later I got this role and these blessings. And I think his power down here, he had such power down here. He was such a light. Like he'd come up to you and be like, "You are so beautiful. Oh my God, give me a hug, give me a hug." And he didn't have to. And he was always trying to, he was always talking about me. He was always like, "That's my grandson. My grandson, he's going to be in movies. He's going to be in movies." Because he got to see me through my 4 years of high school. So he got to see me build love for the craft. He came to my shows. The last musical he saw me in was me playing Uznavian in the Heights in LaGuardia.
Yeah.
And at the time, he was very sick, so him coming was huge. And we had to like go right back home. Like after we graduated, all my friends went out to dinners and parties, and I went to the hospital. And I just kicked it with my grandpa. And so I was losing him at a really weird time, at a very crazy time in my life, on top of getting a manager who's like, "Hey, audition for stuff." I lost him August 25th, 2015. That beach scene in Moonlight, that like really iconic one, I shot October 25th, 2015. So it's like literally 2 months on the day. So that's all to say. I believe he's up there. I believe that the things I do down here matter and will carry on to wherever I go after. When it comes to the nitty gritty of it all, I don't know. You know,
It's hard to say.
it's hard to
really
say.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
So
Jharrel, I lost my mom August 1st, 2014. And I would just offer this as like just my own sort of, I've thought about death a lot. I do think that they're involved, that sort of our loved ones are involved in our lives and help us cultivate our talents here. But I think we can also help them there and that we can like continue to cultivate that relationship with them. So maybe like meditating ways to continue to cultivate your relationship with your grandfather. When I
love
sort of
that.
had that epiphany, it really
Yeah.
changed my relationship with my mom's death and
love that.
allowed us to have a relationship still.
I speak to him all the time. I spoke to him in the bathroom
beautiful.
before this interview. Yeah, I speak to him all the time. So
That's
that's really nice that you do that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when it comes to that, that's my answer.
Yeah,
that.
that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
We want to get into your career, which is already so incredible, but I want to ask you one more personal question. You shared, I'm very family oriented, and I had only a few solid friends growing up. I went from that to suddenly having people from all walks of life want to be my friend and concern themselves with my welfare.
Wow.
And I wanted to ask you, what has that transition been like from the Bronx to Hollywood? How's that been? It sounds like it'd be very intense.
Yeah, still going through it. Yeah, still going through it. I'm just such an oddball. I'm such a weirdo when it comes to it. I didn't run to it. So I got lucky. I don't know why I didn't run to it, but I chose not to. What I mean by that is when They See Us came out and I won the Emmy.
Yeah. I just watched your speech the other day. Oh, incredible. Yeah.
That was insane. So I went from 20,000 followers on Instagram to 1 million in maybe a month.
Wow.
Right? That's trickled down since because I'm not on
Sure,
social
no,
media.
same thing has happened to me, by the way.
I just let it happen. I lose 1,000 followers probably a week.
Gotta get those videos out.
Yeah.
Make a TikTok with us, man.
Sammy's looking at me right now. I would love to.
We'll do a little bang.
Sammy's like, yeah, we're gonna do a TikTok with Penn. Wait, what was I saying?
You were talking about the transition. You were kind of an oddball, didn't run to it.
So I didn't. So
you just got the Emmy.
When that all had happened, I started getting hit up by obviously a lot of old friends, a lot of old flings, a lot of just random. I didn't know I gave my number out to so many people.
What am I
mean,
doing?
hey, I was your substitute teacher in this 8th grade. I'm like, what?
Some of those might be spam. I get those.
Why did I give my substitute teacher my number in the 8th grade? That's crazy. So it could be spam. I don't know what it was, but I'm talking I'd wake up with 900 messages.
Wow. Oh my God.
Actually 900.
Oh, Jharrel.
Not even being dramatic. It
On
was
your phone, not on
That you
social
did
media.
get
on
a
my
lot of
phone
people
on
your
the
number.
green thing. Yes, I did. I'm
Yeah.
talking. It was so much, and it was so overwhelming, and that's probably did something to a part of my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, celebrities were reaching out too.
Yeah.
So I was being hit up. I won't say names, but I was being hit up by some really dope people that I would love to kick it with. But at the time, I got scared.
Yeah.
I got nervous as hell. I was 21. I was still living pretty much in New York and still going to my mom's regularly and seeing my friends. So even though around me everybody's like, yo, what's up? How was Denzel's house last night? You must have went, right? No, I haven't gone to any of these crazy places.
He's texting me and I'm not responding.
Yeah, no,
I'm
he
reading him on
actually.
red.
Also, that was a random name drop. He's never texted me to hey, I would love that, but no. Just cool people who after the next few shows come out, hopefully they hit me again.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I burned some bridges. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like maybe not a serious bridge. Obviously, I don't know how mad you can get at me. You don't know me, but there's connections I could have made then.
Yeah, man. Well, this industry requires networking. It does.
It does.
This is something
Exactly.
we talk about.
So that's where I'm at right now.
It doesn't. What's happened to you is the most incredible fire starter that anybody could ever ask for, and then beyond that, it takes amount of conscious. It does not just take talent. We know that,
Yeah,
and it doesn't.
doesn't.
And a lot of it is luck, but then a lot of it is the worst. The worst case is it's nepotism or it's insular. It's an exclusive crowd. But actually, it's natural to want to work with people you know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's natural to want to work with somebody that you're I trust that person. I don't know that person.
Yeah.
And again, the worst case is it's exclusivity. It's just all the bad things that we know about. But I'm just.
I wish I knew this then. I wish I actually thought these ways. I was so anti it.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I really do.
I feel like the word networking has connotations that for some is positive, but for many people are negative.
Yes.
And I wonder if the reframing of relationship building.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Or if a
relationship
network
building.
is you think of the root system of a forest. That's a
Yes,
network.
that's the other.
Huh?
The root system of a forest. All the tendrils coming together, sharing electrical impulses and warning each other about the infestation of ants and the one. This is what they do. This is
That's what
how
I think
trees
of when I
communicate.
think of networks.
That's
yeah.
and tendrils, of course.
Yeah. Jharrel, you've been talking about When They See Us, and that is such a special and important project. I wonder if you could tell us how you prepared for the role and also how immersing yourself into that story affected you.
Yeah, I still, I still carry it all today. I think we all do. but it's crazy to think it's been 3 years now, coming on 4 years since I was working on it. But I spent a lot of time with Corey. I spent a lot of one-on-one time with him, going to get pizza with him, buying. He went into a Foot Locker with me one time, and he bought me a whole pair of sneakers. I was like, man, no, please don't do that. He was like, no, you're Corey. I'm buying Corey sneakers,
That's
and
so
you're Corey.
sweet.
Wow,
So
that is.
yeah,
I'm sure
so-
that could have been quite healing. Also,
Absolutely. He's just such an incredible man. He's such an incredible person, and it was just hard. It was just difficult. It was, when you're doing a project, it's all this design, right? It's all this kind of made up stuff from somebody's mind. They were just kind of like, this, and regardless if there's weight to it, there's still like a wall up. We know it's a movie, right? When it was doing this, it never felt like it. It just always felt like real life. It always felt visceral.
Like the stakes are high.
Always high. Right? And Corey was on set too. So I'm out here performing and doing these very difficult things, and he's watching it.
Wow.
And so I never understood how he could do that. But he's the type of person who you couldn't tell he spent all that time in there. He'll go up to a cop right now, shake his hand, take a selfie with them.
Wow.
Oh my
he
gosh.
is just a lover,
And resilient.
unbelievably resilient. So he calls himself a lion, and that's exactly what he is. And he called me Simba. So, and he's a lion. He has this huge lion tattoo on his arm,
And he spent longer because I also
he spent the longest time there. And he was tried as an adult. That's why.
That's right.
So he was 16
That's
as opposed to
right.
everyone else who had been 15 or 14.
Ay.
And so it just based off of a couple months of his life, he just had to go to Rikers, an actual
And we won't
prison.
even let an 18-year-old rent a car, but we will
Oh, no.
incarcerate a 16-year-old
16-year-old.
as though they were an adult.
That's a
That
great
is
point.
wild.
I just gotta say, you and everybody involved, obviously, like that was just such an inspiring project to come out at the time that it did. And your performance, again, not sort of at the center of it. Like you were the only person who played young and older characters. So like, I just want to say it was incredibly inspiring to see, and to see you win like that, man. Like it made me feel good about this industry. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Like, because all the things that you're talking about in your music, the things you're saying about your craft, it is a challenging industry. And when you were cast, not like I knew about it happening at the time, but seeing all these kids actually being like so many talented kids in this thing, and then you breaking out like that and winning, it was so lovely to see.
It was it felt like we were like a basketball team.
Yeah.
And I shot the
Right,
three-point
yeah.
buzzer.
Buzzer.
I hit the
Yeah.
buzzer and everybody. It's just the champagne popping everywhere. It was big, and the men were at the Emmys too.
Yeah.
Decked to the
I saw it. They
nines,
all stood up.
They look,
Yeah.
they just
Everybody
dressed.
stood
I
up.
mean,
It
this, like, think about it. They're incarcerated at a young age. 30 years later, they're dressed in suits at the red carpet of the Emmys, and sitting, prime
wild.
seating,
Yeah.
watching. And,
I mean,
and when I won, they all stood up, and it
The
was
flip side
unreal.
is, of course, it doesn't mean necessarily anything is fixed, but at least like the justice for these men in the end. It's like it's like we need those moments. We need those moments. It does not mean that everything is fixed, but we need them because it's just like like I said, it's inspiring.
It's inspiring, absolutely. It's just it's tough, It's a story that happens every day,
Yeah.
It's I hate to think about like the men and women who are incarcerated falsely right now still sitting in there knowing that When They See Us came out.
Right.
Knowing that show was big, talked about those men from 89 and how they didn't do it and now they're free, and the world knows now. But here I am.
Yeah.
Still in the cell, and I'm gonna be here another 30, and I have no idea I didn't do a damn thing. And so, it also comes with that, and it's just one of those stories that it's hard no matter what.
Yeah, I can see what you mean by the way that it stays with you, and that
Yeah.
you, of course, were taking all that on. You can't do anything less.
Yeah.
And it's like typically a role does not have all that with it.
Jharrel, you've done so many meaningful things. What are you looking for in the projects that you do next, and what
You have a
is
lot
on the
coming.
horizon
Seems
for
like
you?
you
Yeah.
need to look. It seems
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
are doing a lot.
Yeah.
So I've been incredibly quiet since all of that. time. I haven't been in a project since Concrete Cowboy, which followed When They See Us in 2020. But, you know, that was mid-COVID and went up on Netflix.
Yeah.
Did very well. Really, really great film, but kind of was a bit under the rug type, which is fine. Like those two.
You can't
And
win an
so-
Emmy every time.
I know, I know, which is why I said it's fine.
The next one.
No, I'm just kidding. I've been very selective because it's gonna be impossible to ask for another When They See Us and for another Moonlight in the next however many years, right? So obviously, it's not, you know, you can't always come across this project that is so impactful for the entire culture.
Yeah.
I kind of want to wait around for it, but it, you know, I got to get paid and stuff like that. So right now, it's been a focus on projects that just challenge me, because I feel like if I can do projects that challenge me and are so out the box, then I will be inspiring somebody.
Yeah.
Because it won't necessarily be the next cultural impactful project, but it'll be a project where you just see this Dominican from the Bronx playing a 13-foot tall black man from Oakland, which is, I'm a Virgo. I'm actually doing that.
Wow.
I'm going to be 13 feet tall in it.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's going to be Boots Riley. You know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Boots
Is
Riley. He did Sorry to Bother You,
Okay.
Oh my
okay.
gosh.
which
The
is incredible.
Yeah.
And he's from The Coup. I don't know if you know anything about it. It's a 90s hip-hop group from the West Coast. Incredible music. But he, like Sorry to Bother You, you know, he's very whimsical and he's very out the box. And I love the way he writes because he has the ability to write black characters that have no limitations to them, no regulations. There's no set because, you know, hey, it's because you're from Oakland, so you kind of gotta have this. It's none of that. It's this. It's a fantasy. It's that's what Sorry to Bother You is. This like beautiful fantasy with incredible commentary on capitalism, and so that's what I'm a Virgo is about to be. It's just this incredible fantasy piece with an important commentary on capitalism, not necessarily commentary on racism, not necessarily on slavery, and none of that. It's about capitalism.
That's
and
cool.
Then you end up hearing those words just based off of you know what's under the umbrella of it.
Yeah.
And it centers around this kid who was born, and when he came out the womb, he was 6 feet tall.
Wow,
Wow.
cool. I
Very
can't
crazy.
wait. I can't wait to see it.
And so by the time he's 18, he's 13 feet tall. And so it's about him having been confined by his parents his whole life because, you know, can't let this 13-foot tall man out.
Wow.
And then, you know, he ends up finding his way out, and it's his journey throughout Oakland.
And he's a Virgo.
And he's a Virgo.
This
Wow.
sounds
Easy.
fascinating.
And he's a Virgo, which is
Can't
the
wait.
point of him being a Virgo is because it isn't easy, you know.
Wow.
And then on the other hand, I'm doing a show called Full Circle, which is directed by Steven Soderbergh.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, same.
You're not going to win anything with that one, man.
Like a composer or something. That's right. He's a composer. I mean, he wrote musicals. So things like that. Like when that came in, and I got the chance to speak with them, and I'm gonna rush to that. That's a challenge.
Yeah.
And that's just working with a director who has been. Oh my God, he's just worked with head honchos, and he's done incredible projects that are timeless projects.
Yeah.
So yeah, just trying to find myself more in those. I'm hoping for another project that'll speak to the culture because I love that. You know, there's not many that do. So if I get the chance to continuously be a part of those experiences, I think it'll keep me so happy in my life. So I'm always looking for that. But until then, it's just a row that like bends and flips me a couple times till I can get it right, you know? Like doing the 13-foot tall project was crazy.
Yeah.
'cause
Yeah.
He shot forced perspective. So no CGI,
What?
no special effects,
What?
miniature sets, and
Wow.
a 13-foot silicone doll of me to get the over-the-shoulder shots.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then 6-inch silicone dolls of my scene partners to get over the shoulders of them. And so the entire time, I didn't look at my scene partner once. I was just looking at a green X mark. Either a green X mark or an iPad that was showing delayed footage of them. And I had an earpiece because most times, if we were doing this scene right here, I'd be in another room, and this whole room would be designed but miniature,
Okay, yeah.
and I'd be
Wow.
sitting in there at an exact angle.
Yeah.
So I'm like this, and you guys will be in this room here,
And they
there
would be shot
There'll be a
simultaneously.
big 13-foot doll in here, and you'll just be looking up at it.
Wow.
And I'll be talking to 3 little mini versions of you guys.
So you really got the sense of being 13 feet tall.
Yeah, I did.
That's
I'm not even
incredible.
6 feet, so that was
Yeah.
nice, you know. To,
Yeah.
I'm looking up to most people.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go to high school now.
That is my zone high school.
You know, and
Again,
and
yeah.
funny enough, I'm afraid of heights. So there's often times where I had to climb up a ladder because I had to perform on a platform for some shots too. There was
Wow.
like a million different ways they shot it. There was a lot of different tricks they
So
used. and
ambitious.
That
so-
sounds
Wow.
inspiring. I
Very
so excited
ambitious.
to see
very,
this.
very technical, and I can imagine at points maybe a bit frustrating as an actor, maybe, but largely probably also very inspiring because of how different it is.
Absolutely. And it's one of those projects where when you end it, you're thinking it. Like
Yeah, right.
when it's done, you're like, whoa, actually, I got to do this, that, and that, and the third. But when you're doing it, yeah, it was grueling.
Wow.
I
It
can
was
imagine.
tough. I mean, for all of us, and Boots came up to me at one point and was like, man, why did I do this?
And you're like, you
why
told
did
me,
I
Boots.
do
Yeah.
this? You know, he even said he had some creative friends who were telling him, hey, man, like,
Don't do
Yeah.
that.
don't do this, man. It's
Yeah.
tough. And
Wow.
he did it. He did it. And he is going to make history for doing it.
Yeah.
I was
So-
gonna say, and then they get
Yeah.
only with
Sick.
Amazon.
And-
Don't,
Amazon
that's
crazy.
Amazon money
Amazon
for that.
Yeah. And then on top of
We're
all
gonna talk
that,
about that.
Jarrell,
Yeah.
you're writing new music.
And I'm
Tell
writing
us about
music, yeah.
that.
Yeah, so I'm an artist. I've been a rapper my whole life. I'm not in a position where I'm like, yo, I want to be Drake. I want to just quit the acting, be on radio plays, be on features, tour the world. I just love to do the music so much. And when I was growing up, I was the kid freestyling, rapping. You throw me words, I'll go ahead and spin it. I'll make fun of you in my rap or something, or you know, I would cipher and freestyle with kids at the table or at the park. So when I was 18 and Moonlight had come out, I was like, "Ooh, like I might be famous or something." Right? So I was like, "Well, what do I do? Do I just maybe rap for my friends, keep it a hobby, or bring it along with me?" And long story short, I was like, if I'm 45 years old and I didn't choose to try to rap at some point, it would eat me alive. So, yeah, for the last 5 years, I've been in the studio, patient, and making songs. I have maybe like 60 to 70 songs.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
Okay. And you only have 2 out. Is that
I only have
right?
2 out.
Because I
I've
was
been very
listening to both of
patient.
them.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
trying to. I used to drop stuff on SoundCloud, and there might be something on SoundCloud from me when I was like 17 or 18 that you can find.
You gotta find that.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody will end up digging it up. But yeah, there's only 2 that are out because, like I said, I'm not in a rush, and well, now I'm in a rush. I'm not gonna lie. Now I want to get these songs out because
Yeah.
I'm so ready, and I have this
You've
hunger
written
for
them
it.
now, like
Yeah.
they're made, and
They're
so
made, they're ready, they feel like me, they feel like, they just feel like me. And hip hop right now is just at a very quiet time. It's like little desert balls
Yeah,
rolling around.
maybe
the
apart from
room.
like the giant,
The Giants, of course, but in
Yeah.
I
terms
agree
of
with
that
you,
new
actually,
wave,
I
because when
agree
the
with you.
Giants go, you need the new wave. That's been
Yeah.
hip hop's beauty, is that there's always it was almost clockwork. Every 10 years, there was this new wave of a group of maybe 5 to 6 that were gonna continue carrying the torch. And I don't know, I think there's a lot of reasons why hip hop is where it's at now. I think a lot of it is social media. I think a lot of it is the watered down
Yeah.
aspect of it making so much money.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
capitalism. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
it's putting it's exerting its strain on all art forms
Yes.
and all
Back then when you rapped, to make so much money, you had to be so nice. You had to
Yeah.
be killer. You had to say the wildest, coolest things. Today, that's not the case anymore. You can get stupid rich off of nothing, like
Yeah.
off of a cool
a
concept,
vibe.
Yeah.
simple a vibe. It's a simple concept, simple beat, it's a vibe.
And part of that,
spin it
I
back.
think, is like the algorithm aspect of music now. Music, we now have a generation that's grown up where, like, buying music is an irrelevant concept. You know what I mean? It
it's
actually is
low.
literally an irrelevant concept.
Doesn't
and,
exist,
and,
really.
and that industry
Yeah.
has accepted that. The
Yeah.
way streaming has changed television now, that happened almost 20 years ago with music. You think about that. That's actually kind of crazy. Like,
That's true.
It happened so long ago that streaming was like end of that era. And so now music is just based on like it's a background noise algorithm based on things you like but aren't very
that
close.
scares me with the
you know?
film industry.
Well, you know, the reason that it can't happen in the same way is actually bandwidth. It's you can movies are. It is different, but we should all
Absolutely.
have some not fear, but we should have. What's the word? We should
Wisdom.
Caution.
we should exert wisdom and
Exert wisdom.
tact and think of the future with like maybe some caution or just awareness that like it is unwritten the way we're gonna see social change in the next couple decades.
It's crazy.
And the way it's
Yeah.
gonna influence
Yeah.
art is
Yeah.
our last question.
Mm-hmm.
If you could go back to your 12-year-old self,
Mm.
what would you say?
Don't push away any love. And don't push away. Yeah, don't push away any love. Regardless if it's love for yourself, love from a partner, love from a friend. Don't push away love. Like, believe that you are loved. I feel like I'd be way more ahead right now if I just, like, understood that I'm deserving of love.
That's beautiful.
That is really beautiful.
Jharrel, we're gonna have to bring you back because there's so
Yeah.
much
I'm
more
coming
we could
back.
ask
I'm
you.
here tomorrow. What's up? What's up?
This has been so
sure.
Yeah,
lovely.
thank you,
Thank
man.
you for
Thank you,
coming
guys.
on.
Thank you.
Of course, this was so much fun.
You can keep up with Jharrel Jerome online at Jharrel Jerome.
It's a good question. I think this is a tricky question.
If
It
you
is.
don't want to
It
answer
is.
it, you
You
don't
can
have
pass
to.
also.
Well, I
You
also
can
want to give
pass
you some
on any question.
context. When we say spirituality and religion, we're thinking like, what's your relationship to the divine, to the unknowable essence that is
Yeah.
there in some manner that we're all thinking about, and how to and what was your relationship growing up with it, and then
Got it.
how is it kind of now?
Thank you.
Beautifully
Yeah,
put.
thank you
Ben.
for that. Yes, thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Sophie's never allowed to ask the question again.
Don't
gonna say
ever ask me
quiet
about.
the rest
Don't
of
you
the
dare ask me
interview.
about.
No,
No,
that was
no.
really
I
an
just I
intense
appreciate
segue,
that.
I
No,
know.